Smorgasbord Radio Show.
Hello, everybody. This is Chris, and this is the SmorgShow Podcast, episode number 94. Recorded April 21st, 2018. And joined by special guest, soon to be revealed. Revealed, but still dressed. Hey.
Hey, Chris, you handsome man. How you doing?
Hey, welcome back. It's been a long time.
Seems like yesterday to me, but okay.
We're recording a double episode today, and I haven't figured out if I'm going to release it on the same day or not. Just give people a chance to digest the first one since it was so jam-packed with information. But you know what? I think we need the third.
I think we need something
trio.
else here. Yeah.
Yeah. So where is that? Oh, you want me there?
You! Yes, you! Stand still, Eddie!
How could you have your pudding if you don't eat your mate?
Set me down right over there, you know? Yeah, that's good. Right there. By the tower there. Yeah, that's good. Try not to crash this time.
All right. Hey, Dave. Hey, welcome back.
Hey.
Where'd you go?
Oh, man, I've been all around the world and back again.
Thanks for coming back.
Feeling good. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm doing well.
About the same we were an hour ago.
Yeah, basically. Great way of just breaking down that third wall there, letting everybody know what's going on here.
I have no idea how this show's going to go. We want to try something a little different this time around. Since the beginning of this show, we've tried to keep everything kind of fluffy, neutral, surface level, just kind of fun because, there's so much nonsense out there that this is an escape for people. So we don't like to get it too overly burdened with stuff. We sort of tackled a few issues in the last episode that we normally wouldn't talk. We talked about the gender pronouns. We talked about, what did we talk about? I don't remember anymore.
But we added some levity as well.
Levity is always important.
I was talking about the pronouns, but I'm really more about the adverbs myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. They're always neglected.
Yeah, they are.
We talked about the condom snorting. That has never been a topic ever discussed on the previous 90-some-odd episodes. So we've got some topics, some things that have come up in recent weeks, that we might want to delve into, but what's going on with you guys? What's happened to you since we last met? Sorry, I'm trying to make it sound like we haven't seen each other in a while.
Oh, God. Well, all I could talk about is medical problems. And in our last episode, I know we wanted to get away from that. So, no, things have been fine. I'm looking forward to the weather getting, not so subarctic anymore and getting out and doing some camping and hiking, which I always look forward to in the warmer months. Something wrong?
What kind of hiking do you have planned?
Well, besides hiking up my pants. But
Any rim shot? Any specific locations?
Well,
you got planned up?
Yeah, well, actually, there are some locations I'd like to go back to that I was last year. I went to Kettle Moraine up in Wisconsin. That's really nice. I don't know if I'm going to go down to Starved Rock. I might try. There is a trail I would like to check out. It's in southern Indiana. But maybe if I could take a few days off, I'd go. It's a trail called the Knob Stone Trail. They call it the Mini AT, and the AT stands for Appalachian Trail, which is a kind of a famous trail that people hike from Maine to Georgia or vice versa.
Didn't you do part of that?
AT? No. I was part of this thing called I call it the Hippy Dippy Hoedown, but it's otherwise known to people as the Rainbow Gathering of Tribes, man. what I like to call hanging out in the forest with 20,000 dirty hippies. But the first one I went to of this thing, this event or whatever you want to call it, was back in 2012, and that was in Tennessee, and it was actually in the Appalachians, in the Smoke. It might have been in the Smokies, I think. It was in a place called Cherokee National Forest, and I think we were very close to the AT trail. I don't know if we were on it, but we were very close to it. So, and that's about it I can say about that.
You mentioned something about, well, what did you say before? You went off on too many tangents, and I can't remember what I was going to talk about now. Something about hiking.
Yeah, hiking and camping, and we talked about Kettle Moraine, and then we talked about some other locations. But you mean something besides that?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. But yeah, I would like to go hiking with you. I do hiking. I do hiking out here in a place called Sawiki.
Well, we can do a day hike sometime.
I would be able to go too within certain limits.
Sorry,
it would depend. I mean, you might have to drop me off somewhere and go on without me or whatever, but I could certainly go for a while.
Yeah, it's very
keep up with you. I need the exercise too, so
it's by the Fox River.
I love to take in the nature.
Yeah, it's nice trails around Fox River, so you can even sit on a bench there and just watch the river go by.
Yeah,
I'd love to hike it with you guys.
Yes,
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. There's something tonic. There's a sort of a thing that's good for the soul. Actually, I think also good for the body to be out in nature and kind of absorb it and see the trees, the birds, the animals, feel the breeze, be near a body of water and see it flow and see all that.
Yeah, you don't really get that in the city too much.
No.
Is that the main thing for you, Jerry? It's the camaraderie, if you will, with nature, or is it talking to the other hikers, or is it the physical exercise? People get sometimes a high from running and walking and things like that. What's the big draw for you in hiking?
Well, it's two things you've mentioned. I think it's obviously the physical aspect is really good, but at the risk of sounding flaky or whatever here, I get a spiritual fulfillment from being in nature and communing with it, and that camaraderie, communing, whatever, and just being in it and being around the trees and everything. I mean, to me, people go to church, they go to temple, whatever. But if I go into the woods, I feel that I'm kind of going into my place of worship, if you will, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah, you and me too, brother. I feel the same way.
Well, I'm scratch the surface of this guy, you're going to find a kind of a pagan, born-again pagan, I guess.
I like hiking because, well, first of all, it's so much better than just being on a treadmill.
That's for sure.
And I feel that after, half hour, an hour, it goes by so much faster. On a treadmill, I don't know about you, but if you've ever been on it, it just drags. The time drags. Like, I just need to get to 30 minutes. Just give me to 30 minutes. And I'm hiking. I can go an hour, and I'm like ready for more. And I just feel good, especially with the trails I go on with the bike trails and it's rigorous. It's rigorous, and it's definitely a workout when I'm done. And I don't feel like I worked out because I was out in nature, and it's different.
Well, that reminds me of a time when it was with one of my friends, and we had our bikes, and basically we, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the I&M Canal Trail that kind of goes from, I don't know, like Lamont or something, all the way out to Ottawa. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of down that, and then there's it's basically a long trail. Sometimes it's kind of rough, but mostly it's kind of paved. And we were taking it from I think Shanahan, and we took it all the way from Shanahan down to Morris, hung out in Morris a little bit, and then came back. And we were looking at it, and we kind of biked around Morris a little bit too. We looked at the overall mileage, and it was about 33 miles biked that day, which for me was pretty good. Yeah. And that was back when I had my rod in my leg, when I still had I had healed, but they hadn't got the surgery to take the rod. I had a broken leg, and they put a rod in there to help it heal. Mm-hmm. And I was biking when I still had that thing in my leg. So I consider that an accomplishment. I just remembered what I was going to talk about, because early on in the discussion, you talked about Starved Rock. Yeah, Starved Rock, yeah.
I was going to recommend that you, right next to Starved Rock is a place called Matheson Park.
Oh, actually, that's funny. You should mention that because I did go hiking with this same guy, who's a friend of mine, a number of years ago through Matheson Park. Now, this is the crazy thing about it back, and this shows you how much I wasn't into it back then. I was hiking wearing Crocs. It was like... And my friend at times looking at me, he's like, "Why are you hiking in plastic shoes?" It works for me, man. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, Matheson. I think that's the thing. People think Starved Rock. Matheson, I think, is just as good as Starved Rock.
Oh, that's great. They've got the canyons. You go down there. It's
the formations.
The formations. You can walk in the streams there. There's waterfalls. It's really beautiful. For those of you who are maybe listening from another part of the country or another country. This is Illinois. Illinois is basically flat from north to south, except for Starved Rock area. For some reason, there's elevation there.
Let's be totally accurate. But there are two different places in Illinois, but they're way at the edges. Like up by Galena, there is some topography there, and then down south in the area known as the Shawnee National Forest. You could take that and people if people know anything about Kentucky being a very hilly and mountainous sort of state, it's pretty much you can interchange that part of southern Illinois. It is very. I mean, they've got rock formations called the Garden of the Gods, and they're pretty impressive. And it's right over there by Carbondale, which is one of my favorite places to party.
Yeah, big party school there. I have not spent enough time in southern Illinois, but I would imagine it starts to change around there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but definitely where we've all grown up here.
Quite suddenly, too. When you're driving, it suddenly changes.
Yeah, I mean, you just get, and I mean, that area's got a bit of charm to it, and actually, if we want to tie it into something else, last year, Dave and I went down in that general area and saw the eclipse. The big eclipse.
I thought you guys went to Evansville or something. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Murfreesboro.
It was the next town over.
Yeah.
Home of the Murfreesboro Red Devils.
Oh, yeah.
And Lake Murfreesboro.
Yeah. We met some great people from Minnesota there.
Yeah, we did.
That was an incredible trip.
I would have liked to have gone with you guys. Thanks for asking. I'm just kidding you. So,
would you have wanted to go down there? Would you have been able to get away? Or?
I would have had to plan for it. I guess I didn't.
The next one is in about 7 years.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's it?
In the same spot.
Okay. Well,
pretty
look me
much.
Up. Look me up. I'll be around for it. Pushing 60.
Well, we're not dead yet.
And after that, the next one I think is in Little Rock. We'll be well into our 80s.
Yeah.
For that one.
All right.
But I just wanted to
sign me up for that one for sure.
Okay.
I wanted to tie one more thing into that because we're doing a podcast, so we're sort of broadcasting here. When we were down in Carbondale to check out we stopped in Carbondale anyway, to check out the eclipse, we ran across a local radio station. We were just walking around Carbondale.
That was great.
Yeah, and there was this guy standing outside of this, and we hear music coming out. I was like, oh, wait a minute, this looks like a local radio. And we talked to him, and he had us on air on his show.
Yeah, we just said, hey, we've been on the radio too, public radio, and he said, come on in.
Yeah.
And of course, something like that is only exciting for guys like us.
Well, right.
Who grew up in it.
But he put us on the air, and
and
he interviewed us about why we were down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I thought that
Forget
was
his name right now. Do you remember his name?
No. I just remember he was a cool guy. And
he was.
And he was playing music I liked anyway. Yeah. So
I sent him a thank you email for having us on and all that, but right now I can't remember who he was.
Yeah. But yeah, his show.
But it's kind of a neat station. It was a public access kind of a
right. It was a
radio
local
station.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Format changes every time somebody new comes on the air. Everything's different. It goes from. They try to have some sort of order to it.
Yeah.
But there might be a reggae show and then.
But somehow it all works together.
Blues and then.
Talk show.
Yeah, anything. News, politics.
That's what I miss about radio. Stations like that.
Right.
They're so far and few between now.
Yeah.
Certainly in metropolitan areas. You don't find anything like that.
No, there used to be a station, I think it's now where the Hispanic, there's like, There are stations in Chicago. There's an R&B station called V103, which is around 102.7 frequency. And right next to it is a station that was a 103.1. And that used to be a brokered station, meaning that you could buy time. And so it would literally be a situation where they could change format. It's a little bit different because this station... VVX, exactly.
Yes, Highland Park.
And that was like, whoever was doing the show next there was a show like about metaphysical stuff. Then there was other shows about, different languages. It was a very eclectic format, which you don't get these days. The format, especially in major markets, is so tapped down that it's like you're this, that, or the other thing, and that's it. There's nothing in between. There's no other kinds of form of expression. It's just those formats because they've done the research and and this is what works and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those types of radio stations with the foreign language programming.
Could you just lose your bladder? Sounds like your bladder just leaked there. What was that?
Well, I did.
That was a cool sound actually.
When you had
Hold on, I
people
can do it again.
Oh, nice.
Wow. When you had people moving to Chicago, since the neighborhoods were so segregated at the time, well, they kind of are now too in a way, but people would listen to the radio station that played their language.
And
that's
music,
how they would get
culture.
Ads for their neighborhood and where to go and get their clothes repaired, the tailor and the local grocery store and the sales and all that. And it would all be in their language.
Right.
So those kind of programs are still
pretty
just as viable today, but even more so, I think, in the past, when maybe you had people living in a neighborhood and they never left their neighborhood and they never learned to speak English even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the case with a lot. And I remember listening, as a matter of fact, as growing up, because those stations, I don't know how it is in other parts of the country, but here, those stations were usually on the far right-hand side of the dial. So the numbers that are way like the 13, 14, 15, 1600s on the frequency, that's where you'd get all those different stations.
And those are the lower powered stations too.
Right, the smaller ones, but then they would have like,
there.
I remember growing up listening to Hungarian station, Polish, or actually Hungarian shows, Polish shows, probably Serbian show, a lot of Polish actually, because we have a large Polish population in Chicago. Just a lot of different ethnicities, and you could and I wouldn't understand what they're saying, but I would just be fascinated just to listen to the language and how it sounded and listen to the commercials and try to figure out if you could understand what they were advertising in the commercials, even though it was a language you had no idea of what it was about. And also back then, they had a lot of polka shows, which was fun to kind of listen to hear, playing the accordion, all that stuff.
Yeah. I always wanted to hear the music from different countries, different cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was there too.
Love that.
Well, I'll tell you, radio for me was when I was living in Columbus, Ohio. I must have been 5 years old, 6 years old. Yeah, about that. My parents were divorced. My mom was dating, and some person she was dating gave me my first radio, and it was a Cincinnati Bengals. It was like one of those football helmet radios, and it only picked up an AM radio. And I just remember listening to that at night when I was, supposed to be in bed. I turned the thing on and I would just listen to whatever stations it would pick up, and I thought it was fascinating. I guess that was really the start of my interest.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, the thing was, what was great about AM as opposed to FM radio was that at night, AM stations, because of it being amplitude modulation.
Yes.
Yeah. The signal would carry further. It would bounce. It would go like say a station
bounces
here.
Off the ionosphere.
Right. And then ends up hundreds and hundreds of miles away. And like a station, especially if you're a high-powered station like WGN here in Chicago, you'd be heard in Canada. You'd be heard in the South.
Because AM follows the curvature of the Earth, right? Versus FM?
Yes, FM goes straight off into space. Yeah. Does not follow the curve of the Earth.
I still remember my stuff.
Right.
From the Fred Moore Institute of
Radio
Communications.
Sure. On certain nights, you can pick up Canada.
Yeah.
I used to get the Nashville station all the time. And
I'm wondering if, like today,
It's funny you should mention national station.
WLAC.
Exactly. And I used to, when I was a kid in the late 70s, I'd hear it and they were playing, and that's probably one of the stations too that got me. I really loved, like, because I love soul music and stuff like that. That was a station that was playing a lot of that back then, playing a lot of the, not only contemporary stuff, but older soul music. And thinking, you always think of Nashville, country, but no, they had this incredible R&B soul music station that, if you could pick up the signal, it was great listening.
I don't know if like, let's say I was a 5 or 6 year old kid today, would I be attracted to the same thing? It would be a different way, because now it's so easy to get stations from around the world. I mean, I've got an internet radio right here in the studio, and I can pick up any country I want. I can dial it up. But there was something about the shortwave and the challenge of trying to come across it.
Right.
I'm glad you mentioned shortwave, because that's the thing I was just thinking about. It's like, it wasn't just those stations, the AM stations that bounced the signal, but you could like get on, because there was a lot of radios back then that not just had the AM and FM, but it had like the police band, and then they would have shortwave.
Right.
So you could pick up BBC, Radio Moscow, Radio Turkey, whatever. I actually remember listening to Radio Havana back in the days, the Cold War. So you say, American gringo Yankee imperialist, blah, 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 blah. And then all this, and then you heard Radio Moscow and they had that thing. And then you hear like the other stations, like you hear BBC, and it's the BBC World Service, blah, blah, blah. And it was just always interesting to hear not only the different cultures, but the content that they had back then.
And then what they would do back then, I don't even know if they still do this, but they would have huge, high-powered, and these transmitters are just, the wattage is just unbelievable how many watts these shortwave stations are putting out. And then they would jam signals of stations that you weren't supposed to hear. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one, but yeah, like when we weren't supposed to hear anything from Cuba, they would just blast transmitters at their signal, to keep it from coming in. But I don't even know. I don't know if they do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
Well,
maybe.
it came through because I was able to listen to it.
But back then you could hear it. That's pretty neat.
But
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I got a later interest in shortwave radio, and you may have remembered this, Jerry. I bought a shortwave radio from Radio Shack in actually 1990.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought, I'm going to get into this again. And even back then, I had to wait until night to pick up the signals. And it'd be like aiming the antenna in certain directions in my apartment to pick up different signals. And there was something fun about that. It's like, wow, I actually found something that's worth listening to. Right now, I don't have the same desire to kind of there's no challenge in looking up. Oh, I can look up, Farsi, whatever.
Right. I mean, it's because it's everything has been kind of. I mean, it's still out there, and it's people's shortwave, but it's for kind of for those places that are more remote and they don't have access to internet like that, and that's becoming less and less. Those places are becoming more rare too, because I mean, you can go into places like Africa now, which places where it was like so remote, and now everybody's running around. They got a smartphone,
right?
So it's like, how do you tell, a young African kid or somebody from the Middle East, like, hey, check out this shortwave? It's like, I got a computer here. I don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally different now. Mm-hmm. But, yeah. So.
Oh, can I mention one more thing before you wrap it up?
Sure.
There was another phenomenon. I think if you're still listening to shortwave, you can sometimes come across it. There's this thing called number stations, where you would tune in and it wouldn't be a broadcast. It would just either be maybe a series of tones or a little melody or something, and then you'd hear a male or female voice, usually kind of rattling off numbers or maybe a quick phrase, and they would just repeat that for a period of time, and then they'd go off, and then they'd come back on again at some other time. But if you were going around the dial, sometimes you would pick up that thing, and it's always been for those people that get into that, it's always been a source of fascination. It's like, what are they communicating? Why are they just saying these random numbers? What's this all about? And there's always been those theories. Most people think that especially during the Cold War, that these different stations were being put out by different governments to kind of give information to their operatives in other countries, and they would they get the coordinates or whatever from whatever the code was that they were getting, and then going from there, and then but it would be coded, and so only those people who know what to listen for could get it. Mm-hmm. That's at least one of the theories on that.
Yeah, interesting.
What do we have today?
So what do we have today
on the show?
Well, I carved out some time just to talk about social media in general and how it's been. There's been a lot of social media news lately, and Dave, I'll start with you because I think people who have listened to this show, especially early on when we first kicked this off in 2010, that we were trying to find you because you had vanished. And at that time you had no digital footprint out there.
Digital footprint.
Yeah.
A term I learned from you.
And so you've only recently in the last, I don't know, it's been 6 months or maybe a year?
Maybe 6 months. Yeah.
You got onto Facebook.
The only reason I did that was to take a class. There's a jazz guitar class I take, Matt Warnock's class. And that's the reason I signed up for it.
That's right.
And then since then, I've been following some of the local musicians in the area, people I want to know, where they're playing and what they're up to. And then, of course, you and a few other people that I know, and that's about it.
And ironically, you, Jerry, have dropped off of Facebook right about the time Dave came
Just
on.
the opposite.
Yeah. So kind of what's your perspective on why you decided to drop out? And are you on anything else other than Facebook?
YouTube. Basically,
okay,
because I'm an official YouTube addict. I can't. I'd like to.
Well, that's different.
Myself.
That's media consumption as opposed to.
Well, it's also social media because a lot of these people they set up accounts or they set up YouTube channels and they don't have anything in the content. They go around look at other content and they comment on it, and you can get on like you can do on Facebook. You get in these full on arguments. Well, I think you're an idiot for saying that, but all that sort of stuff. You get all the same thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's, and also for me, what I get out of YouTube, what I didn't really get out of Facebook was, getting a real appreciation of what certain people are doing with their life, their lifestyles. Because you get a lot of these stations, I'm sorry, I'm still back in the other channels. They talk about things that I'm interested in. Because I look at you, Facebook and say, I'm not interested in that. But I can go on YouTube at any given time and I could watch videos again about like the hiking and camping, or I could watch stuff about certain types of music I like, or just other things that really capture my interest, and I can see a whole video about it. And I can see video being done by people who are actually in the midst of what they're doing, living their lives, pursuing their dream, whatever. It's kind of fun and it's kind of inspiring to see that stuff. I never really felt that way about Facebook. Now, I was on Facebook. I actually signed up back in 2007.
That's about the time I was trying to, yeah.
And that was after I kind of more or less was, and I didn't want to because I was kind of disenchanted with the way things went with, because I was on MySpace before that, because that was the thing before. It was MySpace was everything. Uh-huh. And what I liked about MySpace that Facebook never had, though, was that you could take your page. You were given a page. If you were going to be on MySpace, you could give it a page, and you could modify it and add any little bells and whistles you wanted to onto that space. And I remember spending hours like, well, you put this code in here, see if I'll get the Matrix the theme stuff, going to the letters or whatever, trailing down, and all these sort of things that I could, put on. You can any like video I thought was interesting, I'd pop it on there. But then I was like, geez, I'm wasting a lot of time on this stuff. I mean, and what am I getting in return? I have like 300 friends, but I don't know any of these people, and I don't really communicate with them. So are they really my friends? Mm-hmm. So I was very hesitant to do anything with Facebook, and I had people at work. Oh, you got to be on Facebook. It's the next thing, and people are leaving MySpace. Like, well, fine. I don't really care. I'm not done. I'm done with MySpace. I was like, oh, go on, be on it. So, okay. So in 2007, I signed up and opened an account, but I really didn't do anything until about the beginning of 2009. So I had a thing just laying there for about a year and a half, not doing anything with it. Yeah,
well, a lot of people were still ramping up and going on it themselves. It wasn't quite the network that it is today.
Oh, yeah.
So, but flash forward to I don't know, the last year or two, you've kind of gone on and off, because sometimes I will see you as like a friend of mine and all of a sudden you'll be gone. I'm thinking, did he unfriend me? But no, like you're totally offline. You've decided to close your account or something, or suspend it, or whatever you do temporarily.
I first, when I initially did it, I just kind of, how can I put it? What's the term?
Suspend?
Suspend, yeah.
Yeah.
I suspended it. And I said, I'm going to think about this.
So that's when you put it on hold, but it doesn't delete your entire history of posts and all that.
Yeah.
It just puts it out there.
So that's probably what you saw. And then after a certain amount of time, I said, I'm not going to really get back on this. I'm not really that interested in it anymore. I really don't want anything to do with it. I really just want to make a full break with Facebook. So I went and deleted my profile altogether.
It started off being a forum to share photos, to connect with family members that might have been, they moved around, and it's a way to keep it. And it was a great way for me to keep in touch with my siblings, and where I would normally not know what's going on in their lives. And I think that was the original intent of Facebook, to bring people together that way. What it's become has been
crazy,
divisive. It's stressful, actually. And I think once it started getting into the news business and...
well, especially when it was like, if somebody, it was kind of like deciding what was news and what wasn't news.
Yeah.
Sort of that kind of getting editorializing. And it's like, wait a minute, these people want to put this stuff on the platform. You were presenting it as an open platform, and now you're saying, well, no, we want to close you down, or we'll get a strike against you. I mean, that's actually more what you do in YouTube, but whatever. But it would be something where they would, or if you did have something, or something was put out there, it's like, well, but we believe here at Facebook that, not that they have like little like warnings or something about saying that, this content comes from, this comes from RT and that's run by the Russian government and all that kind of nonsense. Like,
yeah,
that's too invasive, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. So you've been off for at least a year.
Well, I'll tell you what we talked about earlier, when we're having a break.
In between
the shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the fact that what really turned me off about it was after the election, when Trump won, and, there was, the fallout from it was pretty negative. What I was seeing on the YouTube feed, it was like very kind of vicious and mean-spirited. And I remember talking to you about why I called you to congratulate you, because I know you were supporting Donald Trump at the time, and it's like, hey, congratulations, your candidate won. And it said, and you were saying like, yeah, I'm happy about it, but I looked on Facebook and I don't think I'm going to put any postings on there because I don't want to get the flack from that. And it's like, and I thought that's pretty sad. I mean, you can't keep this place kind of like civil and keep it, neutral. It's like if you express an opinion that whatever the consensus doesn't like, you'll get attacked. And I thought, I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've kind of dialed it back. I'm not really on there that much anymore. And really, the only thing that's kind of holding me back from closing it out completely is what I said before. There are some people in my family, that's the only way I hear from them. And Dave, it's great to be there for you. It's an easy way to get a hold of you.
Right.
But other than that, I'm just really not on there much. And there's been a lot going on in the last few weeks with Mark Zuckerberg.
The
Zuck in the congressional hearings. Have you seen any of those? It was pretty interesting.
I personally haven't. I've heard blurbs about it. I've heard that, basically the congressmen that were interviewing the Zuck had no idea what his page was about and everything. I mean, how could you have elected officials that have no awareness of what's happening in their own country when it comes to that sort of thing? I don't understand.
You got people like, was it Chuck Grassley?
Oh, I never heard of him.
Old geezer, and he's basically asking questions like, with this app that you created, and Zuckerberg's just kind of looking at him. He's being polite because he knows any one of these people could turn his life upside down, and he's just answering the questions. But it was an interesting query. So the reason why I guess it all kicked off was this whole Cambridge Analytica?
Yeah, this is news to me.
So there was a scandal that hit a couple months ago that affected 87 million users. So Facebook announced that they believe that the data of 87 million people was improperly shared with a political consultancy firm called Cambridge Analytica, many more than previously disclosed. I think originally they thought it was like, I don't know, 30 million or something. If I'm understanding what happened, there's something where people's public profile information was scraped.
Really?
And matched to contact details, which had been obtained from elsewhere. Hold on a second. There's something where if you type into the search bar, you can type in an email address and you can match that with the Facebook information, like the contact information that somebody had stored. So if my email address is on my profile somewhere, if Cambridge Analytica had my email address from another marketing source, they could pull all the information from Facebook based on that search of my email address. And they could use it for other market research information. They can pull all of my posts and they can understand what my interests are, political beliefs, leanings, all that sort of thing, based on that scraping method. That was a loophole in Facebook in the way you could use the data. So now that has been closed, apparently, that ability. But of course, because the Trump campaign took advantage of that, they've been vilified that, well, they were in on this. But yet, 4 years ago, Obama was a genius for using social media and using data from Facebook, who he got pretty much
For
free and joined at the hip with these and was able to get as much data as he wanted. And so, media back then was saying, oh, what a genius. He knows how to tap into micro marketing, they called it. And, but now, oh, Trump's a villain because he did it and outsmarted them in a different way. So anyway, Zuckerberg found himself on the hot seat asking all these questions. And I think it started getting into, how do you define hate speech? How do you determine somebody is unsafe for the community? Because Diamond and Silk, the African-American girls, sisters who supported Trump, they have a big community on there and they were shut down because, and they were flagged as unsafe for the community. And it's like, they don't advocate violence. They don't indicate anything like that.
No.
So actually they're going to be testifying next week. It'll be interesting to see them in Congress. I think Thursday. So I'll be watching that. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. What other things are going on with social media? Just, I think staying with Facebook, they own Instagram also. What was the other thing I was going to bring
Oh, they
up?
do? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's see. Facebook admits spying on Messenger, scanning private photos because, so you think that you're sending a photo to somebody, and it's private, but they're scanning it to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate about it. And so that's out there. They also own WhatsApp. WhatsApp. Yes, exactly. They're also tracking people even if you're not on Facebook because you might be looking for somebody. You could go to Facebook and search, but you don't have a profile yourself. But based on your cookies and your, I don't know if it's IP address or whatever, I'm using my term, but they can know based on who is searching Facebook. You may not have an account, but they can trace you based on that.
Because when you go on, if you don't actually sign in on Facebook, but you just go on it to look at something, they can pull it from that?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can't even be on the site at all without it spying on you. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I got tons of articles here. I don't think we're going to go through them, but there's just a ton. Every day there's something else coming out about privacy. And
yeah, but people have been kind of ringing the clarion bell or call or whatever you want to call it about Facebook and how much information people are going out of their way to share on Facebook, how much people were saying is Facebook data mining the stuff that's put on there, and the information you give in your personal profile and all that stuff to set up your account. And they were saying that Facebook definitely had the ability to really breach privacy heard about this years ago. So I'm coming up now is like,
I know.
It seems anticlimactic because it's like I kind of knew.
The way I look at all this is that this is nothing more than a show trial. This stuff that was going on, I don't think anything's going to come out of this.
Too.
You don't think that?
Yeah.
My opinion of it is,
I haven't taken it seriously at all.
leave them alone. Don't let the government get involved with it. They can't even keep their own house in order, let alone regulate a private company like that. If you don't like Facebook, just don't go on it. That's my opinion. If you go on it, be aware that this kind of stuff can happen.
Right. You can't go on to something like that and have an expectation of your privacy being respected. It's just not.
Yeah. And I think that's a generational thing because Allie doesn't have any concern. She's like, that's all she's grown up in. She just feels like everything's an open book with people. People share everything online. And that's the world she grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's less of a worry that privacy is being taken away from you as you get into the newer generations.
Which I have mixed feelings about. Actually, no, I don't have mixed. I think it's actually not that good of a thing. I don't think you should have the concept, it's all out there and there's no secrets anymore. I kind of think society, as weird as it says, as it is to say this, I think society does benefit from the ability for you to have some secrets that you keep to yourself and nobody else knows about.
Right, because otherwise there's this attitude like, well, no matter what I do, I just want it out there.
Right.
And there's something not healthy about that.
Well, it just reminds me of that old phrase that some people would use to justify invasion of privacy, is saying, well, if you have nothing to hide, then you shouldn't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
Privacy.
Well,
It's like, well, that's a little too simplistic a way of approaching it. It's like, even if I don't have anything to hide, that doesn't mean that whatever is out there couldn't at some point, if somebody was powerful enough and wanted to manipulate the information in the wrong way, couldn't turn around and use it against me anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I was worried about. I told Allie even from an early age when she first got online. And in fact, the first thing that I remember with her, it was the iPod Touch was her first. Well, before she got a real phone, which was before the iPhone came out. Well, no, the iPhone was out. She didn't get an iPhone until she was in high school. But she had a Samsung, like one of those old text, just for texting for her friends. But she had the iPod Touch. And that was really the thing that iPod Touch was basically an iPhone without the cellular connection.
Right, yeah.
But there were still apps out there that you could communicate out. And I told her, you got to be careful with anything you post online because it's going to be a permanent record. You're not going to have control over it. You don't know if it's going to haunt you in 5-10 years, trying to find a job, whatever it is. People can search for your name and come up with everything now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you took my advice. I don't think anything's happened yet, but it worried me heading into that generation. And right now, I mean, you can go out there and pretty much see these kids who think Snapchat, the app that you take a picture and it's gone in 10 seconds or 8 seconds or whatever it is. It doesn't really go away. It's sitting on somebody's server. Snapchat.
Of course.
And you could go on Google and you could do Snapchat photos and they're all out there. So how did they get posted? They're out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because supposedly it's supposed to go away after a while, but it obviously doesn't.
Right. So it's kind of scary. In fact,
Well, we need to be careful that some things are just meant to be for you only, or for people that you trust in your life, and that really shouldn't be out there.
yeah.
Right. Watch your digital footprint.
Yeah, that's right. I found an article here about
Including pictures of your kids, by the way.
Yeah.
If I had kids, I would not put any pictures of them online. And that may be a little extreme, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. There's I found an article with all the latest apps that are dangerous for kids, and parents should be aware of them. And I want to run just a few of these through because these are kind of interesting. I'm not familiar with a lot of them. One is called Whisper. This app allows you to post secrets anonymously and also allows you to chat with other users in your geographic area. Why it's dangerous. Many children are drawn to communicating with strangers, feeling that They're safe. Their secrets are safer with them than with their friends. This app is a perfect tool for ill-intentioned strangers looking to connect with young people because it allows you to exchange messages with people nearest to you, so anonymously can be easily lost.
Anonymity is what you're trying to say?
Anonymity, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a big word.
This one is a variation on that one. This one is actually kind of scary. It's called Yik Yak. All Yik Yak users are anonymous. They don't create a profile or account, but they can post comments that are accessible to the nearest 500 people within a 1 to 5 mile radius. A psychiatrist called this the most dangerous app he'd ever seen because it can turn a school into a virtual chat room where everyone can post his or her comments anonymously. His or her or their.
Zer or Zim.
Yeah, okay. Untruthful, mean, character assassinating, short messages are immediately seen by all users in a specific geographical area. Why it's dangerous. This app is causing problems in schools across the U.S. with students maliciously slandering teachers, staff, and other students. In fact, several schools have now banned smartphones from campus because of this particular app.
This brings cyberbullying to another level.
Yeah, so basically you call up the app on your phone and anybody who's in the app will know based on the geographical location of the phone that you're within, the 500 closest people to me. I can send a message to those people, and I guess if you're in a school, you pretty much have covered most of your school. Mm-hmm. Kik, a free app-based alternative texting service that allows text and pictures to be sent without being logged in the phone history. So it makes it easier for your child to talk to strangers without your knowledge, since it bypasses the wireless provider's short message service SMS. Children can think that they are sexting without parents finding out. In addition, strangers can send your child a friend request. We know about Tinder, the dating service. Have you seen that one?
Well, I don't know what the particular controversy is, though.
So this is where users can post the pictures like a dating service, and you scroll through the images of other users. And so when they think someone is attractive, they can flag the image. And if that person who has also flagged them in return, the app allows you to connect with them. So it's it's dangerous because it's a way to hook up with other people. And if, kids are underage using this.
Oh, yeah.
I think the last one here I want to talk about was Poof. Poof. This one hides other apps on your phone. So you select which apps you would like to hide, and their icons will no longer show up on your smartphone screen. So why it's dangerous. If children have apps that they want to keep hidden from their parents, all they have to do is download this app and poof, their screen is clear of any questionable apps. So the parents, if they see the Poof app, there's likely something being hidden behind it. Mm-hmm. So that's the warning there. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, I didn't have to worry about this when Allie first started because apps were still kind of getting, the App Store had just launched and yeah. I think the only thing else I wanted to talk about with social media was this Amazon Key. So apparently this is in a pilot mode right now, but if you want home delivery service from Amazon, this service allows you to, I guess it gives you, okay, so Amazon introduced Amazon Key in October as a system that includes a smart door lock, its own cloud cam security camera, and the Amazon Key app. Using these elements, people can open and close their doors without a key or give a guest a code to enter their homes. But the most interesting and controversial part of this is that the home delivery capabilities that Amazon offers. So delivery people from Amazon can open your door, slide packages inside, and then lock the door behind. I don't know if I'd want anybody coming.
Strangers, no.
Yeah.
No, that's not good.
So it helps you with if you've got packages that are on the front porch, if you live in an area where they're going to be stolen or, rain or something. I mean, it gets around that, but I don't know about that.
I have all my Amazon stuff delivered at work, so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Have you seen those Amazon stores?
I have not seen the stores yet. The actual physical stores, I have not seen them yet.
The ones without, it's the cashless and no cashiers.
Oh, really? I don't know, man.
So you go in, so you've got an Amazon account and you walk in, so your app knows that you're in the store, and you shop for any of the items. You take it off the shelf, you put it in your basket or your little hand carrying thing, and it knows you took it off the shelf, put it in the cart, and you just walk out of the store, and it gets billed to your Amazon account. And it knows apparently that you've looked at the item, put it in the shopping cart. If you put it back, it's supposed to subtract it from your shopping cart.
Yeah. I mean, if it's free of glitches, maybe that's fine. But again, I mean, to me, it just seems to open up this, I hate to use this term, but kind of this Big Brother, getting comfortable with the idea of Big Brother being there and knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're buying. It's just like somebody. It's like a digital entity looking over your shoulder. Oh, you did that. You bought that. You're interested in this. I've got a lot of reservations about it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And my company specializes in understanding consumer data. So it's something that I'm following because it's a new evolution of tracking sales, and it'll be interesting to see how we do that. But anyway, I thought that was wow. This is probably the longest segment we've ever had on this show before. So that was kind of interesting.
Cool.
Let me see what we got here. Why don't we take a break? And what do we have here? 1 second here. Keep talking.
Blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, since our last show, we've gotten a ton of email wanting to know about the caste system from Baba. So we're going to take a few minutes out here. Baba's going to explain the caste system.
Always good to hear from Baba.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about a staple feature of our show. He's all reliable. This one came to us through the Dropbox. So,
Cool.
All right, so we'll be back in a few minutes.
Oh, hello, kiddies. This is Old Man Baba, and I am going to explain what the India caste system is. This is probably the number one topic and question I get over email. And so I thought I would try to explain this in a way that the average person can understand. So I have adapted this little Baba story, information story, to my kiddies out in the podcast land. So here we go. The idea of the caste system in ancient India began after the Indus Valley civilization disappeared and a new people arrived, the Aryans. The Aryans were nomads from the north. They brought with them some new ideas. One of those ideas was Hinduism, which is now a world religion. Another was the idea of a caste system. A caste is a lifelong social group into which a Hindu is born. The Vedas are the Sanskrit writings that are the earliest sacred texts of Hinduism. The Vedas suggested the caste system in India. There were 4 social classes in the ancient Aryan society. These were the Brahmins, or priests and scholars, the warriors and nobles, artisans and merchants, and on the lowest level, farm workers, laborers, and servants. Once the Aryans settled down and began to grow their food instead of just being herdsmen, they started developing a caste system. The caste system started with just 4 castes. In order of importance and power, these were priests, warriors, traders and farmers, and finally, paid workers. The caste system grew progressively more strict until finally you were born into your caste and could not move or marry out of your caste. The caste system really wasn't part of Hinduism at first. The caste system began about the same time as Hinduism. The caste system remained in place in India for thousands of years, long after Aryan rule was replaced by other leaders. But over the years, the caste system became intertwined with Hindu India. When Buddhism began in India, Buddhists did not recognize castes. That made Buddhism very attractive to the lower ranks in India's society. But in spite of the introduction of Buddhism and other religions, most ancient India people remained Hindus, and thus the caste system continued. So let's talk about the 4 levels. First, the top caste, the Brahmins. The top caste was made up of scholars, priests, teachers, judges, and landowners. They were known as the Brahmin caste or Brahmins. Many Brahmins lived in temples removed from society. Others spent a great deal of time in contemplation and meditation. Some were even quite social. Next, the Kshatriya. Kshatriyas were the warriors. Rulers of towns and cities mostly came from the Kshatriya caste. Any decision they made, however, could be overruled by a member of the Brahmin, the caste above them. Next, the Vaishyas. The Vaishyas were skilled farmers, merchants, and craftsmen. Vaishyas could hold office in village government. They might live in very nice houses. Even though they were 3 down on the social scale, they still had good clothing and ample food. They might not be the top leaders, but they were certainly a respected part of society. Then, the bottom caste, the Sudras. The Sudras were the unskilled workers. They might find a job on a farm or a non-skilled job in a home or business like cleaning. They were the bottom caste. And finally, there were people without a caste. These were the untouchables. This was one other social rank in ancient India. People who were born into this social rank were called untouchables. These were the people who were considered the lowest in society in Hindu India, so low that they were not even part of the caste system. They had no rights. They had no job at all other than begging. It was a degrading job and that no one else wanted to do. If your parents were an untouchable, so were you. Untouchables could not move up or marry out of their social rank. They were stuck there. And it was a sad day for them to be learned that they were untouchable. Since 1950, the Indian Constitution has forbidden discrimination. But yet, it still continues forward to this very day. And I hope this answers all of the questions that keep you up at night, little kitties. If you have any other questions, please send an email to baba@smorgshow.com and I will get back to you with more information. Have a very good night.
He's certainly come a long way from Comedy Camel.
Yeah, I think he's actually losing a little bit of his Indian accent. He's getting a little bit more Americanized.
I know. It's that muddled Chicago
kind of
influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These there, them and those.
By the way, you might hear some vacuuming or something sound like this whooshing sound in the background. I don't know if it's coming out, but it's our heater, our space heater. It's really cold in this studio. I don't know what happened. Probably because I had the furnace off all afternoon because the furnace is really loud in the studio. So usually when we do a 1 hour show, we turn it off and we don't really feel the effects of it. But now it's like, man, it's cold.
Yeah.
So we're
My hands are getting numb.
I think we had another 15 minutes or so here. We'll be wrapping up. But hey, speaking of social media, I thought I would we'd play around with this Alexa. Oh, hi, Alexa.
The Alexa machine.
Alexa, hello.
Hi.
Okay. There's a new feature on this. There's some sort of a conversation that you can have with it based on this university that's experimenting with AI. And I thought we could test this out and see what conversation, where it goes. So, hey, Alexa, let's have a conversation.
Welcome to the Alexa Prize, a university competition to advance AI. I'll get you the 2017 winner, Sounding Board, from the University of Washington in Seattle. When you're done, say stop. Hi, this is an Alexa Prize social bot. How are things?
Things are good.
That's great. How about we get to know each other now?
Sounds good to me.
Great. If you could time travel, would you go to the past or to the future?
The past.
Interesting. I think I'd go back to the future if I could. Are you usually interested in abstract ideas?
Yes. You guys can talk too.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. I'm quite interested
We
in
could
that.
talk about vampires, movies, or celebrities. Say next to talk about other things.
Doesn't sound very abstract to me.
Alexa, who's your favorite vampire?
Vampire? Okay. My friend told me this random thing. What do you get when you cross a snowman with a vampire? Frostbite.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, tell you, we're a tough crowd.
That's
you know?
good.
Right? I read this article from today. The title was Nicaragua Protesters Over Pensions Called Vampires. Did you know about this?
No, how did we get on the subject of vampires is what I want to know.
You're asking, how do we get on the subject of vampires is 101 no. I feel
Because
like
I
I should
asked
know
her.
that. Do you want to go back to talking about international news?
Yes, please.
Sure. This news said something about Nicaragua. Would you like to know an interesting fact about that?
Yes.
Super. I learned from the web that Nicaragua invaded Costa Rica in 2010 because of a misplaced border on Google Maps.
Well, that's news to me.
Right. I read this article from last Thursday. The title was, Social Security Protest Leads to Clashes in Nicaragua. Have you read this?
No.
This news mentioned security. Do you want to hear what I was thinking about that?
Not really. Honestly, no.
Okay. That news mentioned protest as well. Would you like to hear some advice my friend gave to me about that?
Sure.
Sure, go ahead.
Super. My friend gave me this advice. When going to a protest, dress and act the same way you would when going to a job interview.
Really? How's that working out?
Yeah, I don't think Antifa, well, unless Antifa is going to some very
Sorry, I didn't hear anything. Is there anything you want to share with me as well?
Go ahead, Jerry.
I read this article from yesterday.
She's on to another
The title
subject.
was,
All right.
She's bored with your
Nicaraguans
conversation,
take to
Jerry.
streets in protest over Social Security changes. Did you know about this?
No, please tell more.
I don't really have anything to say about that.
Okay, why'd you bring it up then?
Continue our discussion on protest?
She really wants to talk about this.
Why do you want to talk about protests so much, Alexa?
I'm sorry. I'm actually not very familiar with protest so much. Do you want
Then
to
why
chat
are you
about
bringing
some
it up?
news about protest?
No. All right, Alexa, stop.
Thanks for chatting. Quick question. On a scale from 1 to 5 stars, how coherent and engaging was this conversation?
Do you really want to know?
Still
Got
better
it.
than some
Anything else
conversations
you'd like
I've
to tell
had.
the university team about your experience?
Sure.
I think they
Go
should.
ahead. I am listening.
I think the university team should stop smoking marijuana when they do these things.
Did you get that, Alexa?
Got it. To try another winning social bot,
Okay.
just say, Alexa,
Alexa,
let's chat.
stop. So they're going to relay that advice to the university, Jerry. That was good.
Well, I don't know. I just that's the impression I got anyway.
So she kept bringing up subjects, asking us if we wanted to know more about them, and then she didn't know any more.
What's funny is you want to talk about protests so much because it was a university team. You know, what they do in universities these days is nothing but protest.
That's all it is.
They don't study it anymore. It is all protest.
That's right.
Anyway.
Well, at least she knows about vampires.
Barely.
That was interesting.
All right, well, we're going to do one more breakaway here. Jeffrey Gleason is back with a new Tech Talk, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Hang tight.
Hi, everybody. This is Jeffrey Gleason, and this is Jeffrey Gleason Tech Talk. Last time we got together, I helped you understand why you would want to buy a computer. And then I told you how to get online. Today, we're going to take it up a notch, and I'm going to help you understand a little bit about the computer hardware. This is the stuff that gets plugged into your computer that makes this complex machine a little bit more friendly. And the first thing you need to do is understand that making a transition to computers can feel intimidating at first. For example, the mouse. The mouse is not really a rodent or anything you need to be worried about. It's the thing that you can plug in, and now they've even got wireless ones, but we'll talk about that at a different time. You can plug it in, and it helps you move your little cursor around. That's the little blinky thing, or sometimes it's an arrow or a pointer or a finger, not the dirty one, but a finger that points to things on your screen. And then you use this mouse to click, and it's like to select things that are on your screen. Now, it's a little difficult to explain this on a podcast instead of a video, so I urge you to check out my YouTube channel once you learn how to get and working on a computer and getting online with it. Okay, so first of all, the mouse can feel a little bit unintuitive at first, and then sometimes a touchpad. And that sounds like really exciting, but it does the same job as the mouse, but it's like for laptops where sometimes you don't want to carry around a mouse. And so the touchpad kind of helps you move your cursor around with a little touchpad. So you touch the pad and it moves around. But if you've ever worked with typewriters before, the computer keyboard shouldn't present too much of a challenge for you, but the feel of the keyboard is dramatically different from that of a typewriter. So the first step, therefore, is to familiarize yourself with basic computer hardware. Feel free to pick up the mouse and move it around. It's not going to bite you, literally. It's okay if you can't make sense of what's happening on your screen at first. You'll learn more about that later as we work together in these lessons. But for now, focus on being physically comfortable with your mouse. And if you're using a laptop, the touchpad. The same applies for the keyboard. Try typing your name on the keyboard, okay? One key at a time. Sometimes it's helpful to write your name down on paper and put it next to your keyboard so you can see the letters as you're typing. Because sometimes, as you're getting overwhelmed with the new technology of the keyboard, you forget how to spell some basic things like your name. It happens to me all the time. Don't feel bad. You might make mistakes, but remember that unlike typewriters, undoing things on computers is as easy as pressing the backspace key. That's right. You don't have to worry about the ribbon, the corrective tape ribbon, the white stuff, and getting all tangled up with your keys. So there's a backspace. It eliminates mistakes. Okay, it looks like we're running out of time here. So next week, I'm going to tell you what it means to go online and all the... Oh, wait, no, I already told you about that. Let's see. Next week, we're going to talk about web browsers and websites. That's right, because that is going to be... Once you learn that, you're going to be able to do so much. And I am just so excited for you. So please check back again. This is Jeffrey Gleason, and I'm your tech guy.
Fantastic. Definitely check out his videos. They're really intuitive. In fact, he actually did a how to make sushi video. I don't know how he fit that into his tech theme, but it worked.
You know, when you're cruising the web, you're surfing the web, I should say.
Seafood.
Yeah. And
yeah.
What's better to do that when you're surfing the web than to knock down a little bit of maki rolls, a couple of
you go
pieces of sushi.
Nice tie-in there, Gary.
Yeah, I try.
All right. So what else?
Well, I was looking at, and you were talking about this very interesting article about somebody demanding free coffee, Starbucks coffee, as reparations for Starbucks being racist.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And there's, I guess, this says black man demands free Starbucks coffee as reparations, and the white barista immediately complies. And it turns out, now, did you say that this gentleman, Brian Sharp, who goes by the name Hotep Jesus on Twitter, that he was actually kind of doing this as a spoof with the whole thing that was going on with the two black men earlier in the week that got asked to leave and they didn't. They got arrested.
Yes.
And so he's kind of sending them up, I'm assuming.
Right.
Because in this thing, it talks about him going to, I love the opening line. He said, "I heard y'all are racist, so I came in to get my free coffee." And then that's what Sharp says in the video while the white priest is taking his order. And the girl says, "I saw that. Oh, my God." And he's like, he says, "I heard you guys don't like black people, so I came to get my Starbucks reparations voucher." And that's what Sharp said. And he said, "Not our store," the barista says. "Is that a real thing?" she asked him.
You need to go back into your barista accent, which was right on before.
Okay. Is that a real thing? I mean, like, I'll give it to you. I saw that on my Twitter last night, and like, I was like, "What the beep?"
Are baristas all from the Valley?
I think so. And then Sharp says, "I need a free coffee." And he tells her, and taking advantage of the stupidity of the company.
Yes, there is a lot of it.
Well, there you go. And he says, "I'll give you a free coffee, for sure." And
is that in there? Is that the quote?
Well, right, not exactly. I'm improvising a bit.
Creative license,
exactly. And it says,
sure,
"Well, that's what
sure.
that's what I'm talking about. This is no. He says it. That's what I'm talking about. That's justice." Sharp says sarcastically, "This is justice. This is what I'm talking about." The barista went on to offer his choice of milk and flavoring. And then it says here that on May, there's a blurb saying that on May the 29th, about 8,000 stores are going to close for Starbucks to tell their instruct their employees about racial bias. And so that's something you're doing. But I guess this guy is taking advantage of the situation that happened in Philadelphia with the two gentlemen who got arrested, and turned it into something where he could benefit, and is also a send up on the kind of the, well, there's this term they use in social media circles or whatever on the internet called virtue signaling. And Starbucks is really doing a heavy dose of virtue signaling. And virtue signaling basically means that you go out of your way to show that you're non-biased, you're not racist, and you just really go out of your way to show that, you'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you're not perceived as being bigoted or racist in any way.
Right.
And that's exactly what this barista did. And she's really a macrocosm of what the company's doing by, number one, firing the lady that was the manager of the Philly store over the incident that happened. I guess, I don't know if they fired her right on the spot or whatever the situation was, but she's gone.
Okay.
So so now you have a situation where now the barista is like this other one saying, "Oh God, I heard like that place is so racist, but it's not our store. But we're totally not going to do that, and to show that we're not racist, and you're really going to show that we really care about black people. Which is kind of what this story was about. Free coffee. Go ahead, sure, cool." And it's like there's nothing in the policy of Starbucks to do that, but because, well, basically a black person told her you need to do this.
And this barista took it out upon herself to be able to approve something like that?
Yeah, I don't know how you could unilaterally do that, but
they probably said, she probably didn't get any pushback from management based on the culture of what's going on there.
Yeah, it's very PC there.
Do you remember a couple of years ago they had some backlash because they were forcing their baristas to engage in various
conversations about race and stuff? And it's like somebody's walking in. Let's say you're Hispanic or African American.
6:30 in the morning. I just want a coffee.
I want my latte, the half calf, and I'm out the door. It's like, well, we really want to talk about racial relations in this country. It's like, lady, I got to be at a job in 30 minutes. I don't have time for this.
Yeah. And
that's kind of what I think. And I think that to some extent, Starbucks is kind of is digging its own grave, so to speak. I mean, not literally. I think they're going to be around for a long time. But I'm just saying, as far as this issue is concerned, they're really shooting themselves in their foot.
Kevin Johnson is the CEO of Starbucks. And I think once he took over, that's the change that we've seen in the last year or so.
Because there's the original, the founder, Schultz or whatever. Howard
Oh,
Schultz.
right.
And he seems to be on board with a lot of this.
Yeah, you're right. It
mindset,
started
too.
before Johnson.
So, I mean, I'm assuming that this Johnson guy is just taking the idea in to the next level.
Yeah. So May 29th, afternoon, Starbucks 8,000 locations will be closed for racial bias training. Again, subjecting the entire employee base, 175,000, I think.
Something like that. Huge number.
Rather than just singling out the few individuals who might need it.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, they could say, well, it's an endemic problem. It's like part of the fabric of Starbucks, which I really don't think that's the case, especially since Starbucks already, from its kind of, not only from its inception, but I think if you work at Starbucks, you know you're working in an environment that is not racially biased and would not accept racial bias as part of its its company policy. Mm-hmm. So to stop all that again and then to tell 175,000 of your employees, which like 99% for sure, if not 99.9%, are not racially biased, just kind of like hammering it home again. I don't see what's constructive about that. But I think, and this is my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think the reason why the management, the top dogs, if you will, at Starbucks are doing this is it's a saving face thing. When this thing happened, they don't want to be perceived as the company that didn't do anything when the situation was involved. They want to make it, when they do it, they want to make a big impression saying, we're really we're getting all our employees, we're sitting them down, we're really taking care of the situation. They don't want it to be a thing like what was back years ago with Denny's, where they wouldn't, like there's certain Denny's that wouldn't serve or be reluctant to serve black people.
Yeah, that was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to be. They don't want to go down that road. So I think they're really kind of overcompensating and, like I said, really virtue signaling with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm out of breath. I can't handle.
Yeah.
I can't offer anything else.
Thanks for carrying the conversation, Jerry.
There was a Maude episode that reminded me of what you were saying, where she had this maid, and then she just wanted to go out of her way to make sure that she wasn't being
Exploited or something.
Yeah, exploiting her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
It's like she ended up probably doing the maid's work while the maid was just
Kind of. Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I never watched Maude. I of course I knew her from All in the Family, which is where the spinoff originated from.
She was so funny.
But
was a
yeah,
good
the
show.
few episodes where she showed up on All in the Family was just hilarious. Allie and I were watching a little bit of All in the Family the other night, and we were just like, "Wow, this could not get off the ground today."
Oh no.
Yeah, give Maude a chance. Yeah, you'll
But
like it.
Maude.
Yeah.
By the way, as a little side note about Maude, and this is not PC warning, non-PC warning.
That's okay.
This one is a Adrienne Barbeau. Remember Adrienne Barbeau from the Maude's daughter?
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
she was a looker.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, let's look her up right now.
Go on the internet.
What's her name?
Adrienne
Barbeau.
Barbeau.
She was also in The Fog, right? She played the
I think she was in a lot of B movies.
the DJ in The Fog.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. Which was actually a pretty good
Oh yeah.
as horror movies
there you go.
Okay.
I think yeah. Look at the picture on the
Yes.
right. Look at the picture on the right.
You know what? She was
No, right
Oh.
corner right here.
Oh, over here. Oh yeah, of course you're gonna go for that one.
Well, I think it brings my point to.
She might be. There you go.
Yeah,
That's
a little bit-
that's her. Okay, I thought she was in Star Trek. I thought, yeah, okay, I recognize.
If I'm not mistaken,
Even with
she
all the
was
makeup
actually on All in the Family. She was in an earlier
Yes, she
episode.
was.
She was Mike Stivick's original girlfriend who showed up to the Bunker's household with his son.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it ended up being his son in the end, but she claimed she was trying to dump the kid off on any one of her
Okay,
boyfriends.
I remember that now.
I think this is her, and then she was obviously came into Maude, the spinoff. Interesting.
Yeah.
There you go. Did you have something, Dave? I think you mentioned something about.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to pass on this one experience I had this week. I went to the laundromat, brought my laundry in and all that, and there's this kid walks in. He's about 20, something like that, maybe if that, maybe. And he's wearing, I don't know if you've heard this tune, Pants on the Ground. Okay. Looking like a fool. Pants on the ground. Okay.
Yeah,
I know you
okay.
guys have heard it, but I don't know about the audience. But anyway, this guy's wearing I guess it was more like sweatpants, but he was wearing them down below his butt.
Well, yeah. They usually when they hike the people who
All
do
the
that
way down.
They hike. They make it so it's just below
below
their buttock line.
Right. Right.
Just like hugging the bottom.
But it
of
was
their
like
buttock.
all the way down and then a little bit up. So I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't want to be. I'm like, why do I have to see this guy's underwear? I mean, come on.
Please.
Well,
Why do I have to see this? And then my second thought was, well, it looks like maybe you should put that underwear in the laundry too, because he was there doing his laundry. Right? So, but then I thought, no, if you do that, then we're going to see more than we want to see.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to see that.
Well, unfortunately, I live in the city and I see much more of it than I want to see as well.
Yeah, not so much here.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little
check
bit
out the tune though, Pants on the Ground, looking like a fool.
Yeah. Actually, it was
It applies.
Maybe
here.
we'll close out with that one.
okay. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll look that up for the closeout theme. Were you done with that?
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that.
You're
All right,
welcome.
fantastic. Okay, I'd like to go into the Wayback Machine. I think this will be fun. We haven't had one of these in a while. Something from the old Smorgasbord days. Do you may remember this, Dave? This was one of those that was teetering on being somewhat risque for the time, and certainly for our age group and what the radio station was supposed to represent. Fred Moore, our general manager, never heard this, at least as far as I know, because if he had, we would have been immediately thrown off the air. We teetered dangerously close to having this land in the general manager's lap because we had some very jealous staff members who didn't like our
Yeah.
show to begin with.
Who wanted to see us in radio jail?
I love that. That's very true. I don't know how to describe it other than how you just succinctly said it. They did not like us. They didn't like what we did on the radio, being free-form talk, whatever you want to call it. And so they were always looking for that opportunity to bust us. Another example was when my dad called in as somebody who wanted to date. We had two girls on. They were about 15, 16 years old. And my dad called in on the date line because we were trying to hook up one of the girls. One of them was my girlfriend. The other one was in the studio. We were trying to hook them up with somebody who called in. My dad, who was 43 at the time, was calling in, and that was and you could hear that episode. I'm going to have to play that maybe one of our next episodes. But you could actually hear the staff, a few members from the staff, come into the station. You can hear in the background, like yelling at me that this was unacceptable. They said, "This is pornography." It's like, it's pornography. This is radio. It's not pornography. Anyway, this is not quite that bad of a 43-year-old man hitting on a 15-year-old, but it's up there. So I'm going to play this. This is Get a Life. Some of you remember we brought this feature back on the SmorgShow podcast. Allie and I did. And because one of my early best memories of our last season together, Dave, was to do Get a Life,
which we did first, by the way. I'm going to toot a little horn
before
here
the
because,
Chris Elliott show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing Get a Life, and we were also doing Homework Hotline before WBBM started doing it. So
Yeah, we would take phone calls
Not
and
that
help
they
the
were
girls with their
listening,
homework. That's actually how
we did do it first.
That's actually how I met my girlfriend, was Homework Hotline. Hey, ring the bell back there. There's the bell from the girlfriend at the
that's
time.
it. That's
She
the
mailed
one
this
right
into
there.
us after Homework Hotline. There you go. It still works. Because we had asked for a game show bell because we did, kind of game shows and other fun things. I said, "Hey, can somebody send us a bell?" And then this girl out in the audience who happened to be on our show and Homework Hotline, she sent the bell into us. So why did I say that? Oh, so we did Get a Life. It was a game show. It was just kind of fun. People would call in and they would say, "Hey, I've got this terrible life." We would tell them to describe it. And we'd say, "Okay, great. We're going to trade your life in for one of the three behind, door number 1, 2, or 3, sort of like let's make a deal kind of a thing.
Right.
And they would pick door number 2, and then they would get a life, and they had 24 hours to try it on and see if it was what they wanted and whatever. So this was one of the very first ones. I don't think we had gotten the show quite off the ground yet, but the spirit is there, and I think this will be fun to play. So here it is from 1984, summer of 1984, 34 years ago. Man, wow. Here's Get a Life, and we'll be back.
It's time to play Get a Life. Yes, the rules and regulations object of the game is to get a life better than the one you already have presently. And what the audience needs to play is, number 1, a worthless life that leaks oil and makes strange sounds when you go around the corners that you would like to turn in on a new 1984
He's
life.
reading this.
What?
He's reading this.
No.
Off of the script.
You can't tell, though, because I've been working at
One
Time
that
Magazine.
they wrote at Time Magazine.
You'd like to trade it on the new 1984 life that gets good mileage and enables you to pick up chicks or guys, depending on who you are, with ease. It also helps you get that vice presidential job that you know you deserve. Hello, sir?
Hey, could you do me a favor?
Yeah?
Play Leonard Skinner for me?
Leonard Skinner? Yeah, sure.
Would you like a new life?
What's that supposed to mean?
No, I'm saying it's our game show, and you win prizes just by being on.
Okay.
You like to get a life?
Yeah, all right.
How about this guy, Dave? Does he sound like he needs a life?
Sure.
Okay, you want to listen to the rules again?
Okay.
Everyone needs a life.
Okay, I'm going to start over for him. See,
Unless you've got one already.
The object of the game is to get a life better than the one you have already.
Okay.
You need a worthless life that you'd like to trade in on a new life. It'll help you get the vice presidential job that you know you deserve, and you must deserve a better life by being polite, receptive, and humble. There is an added bonus if you laugh at all the jokes that we tell tonight. But anyway, all lives given away on the show include an official WDDC Smorgasbord ID card that says you're 21. Are you 21, sir?
Yeah.
You are already.
No, but I'd like to be.
Well, you will be just by playing the game, because we'll send you an ID card, a fake ID that says you are 21.
Cool.
All
I
right.
can buy?
What?
So I can buy, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. Okay, and you also get air conditioning, a view of the lake, a 5-year or 50,000-mile warranty on all movable parts, a limited 1-week warranty that enables you to return your life next week if all that was stated about your life is not true in the long run. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And you must allow 4 to 6 weeks. You want to describe this one, Dave? I can't read your writing.
Allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. It's also how much time you have to say goodbye to all your friends, because your life will change. You'll have to move, probably.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you want to play? Okay, first thing is on your part, you have to describe what your life is like and why you want to get rid of it and what you'd like to become.
What I'd like to become?
Yeah, what are the negative things in your life that you really don't want to have it anymore?
I know what I'd like to become. Dope dealer.
Grateful Dead's looking for one.
That'd be cool.
They're up at Alpine this weekend.
Okay, so
let's go up there.
What's bad about what's bad about your life now that you want to?
I'd like to have more money and more dope.
No, what's bad about it? Oh, you don't have that, right?
Yeah, I'd like to have more of it.
Okay.
I don't have as much as I'd like to.
Okay, now how should we do this, Dave? This is our first week. We're kind of unclear, and there's still loose ends to this. Next week, we're going to have the announcer announce the prizes and all that, professionally with the music and all that. So for tonight, we're going to do it. It's kind of like a loose thing. So, hello, sir.
Yeah.
What's your name again?
Tom.
Tom, okay. Where are you calling from? What town?
Downers Grove.
Yeah, you need a life. Okay, so...
We're right behind
Did you go to Heritage Fest?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, that's good. Maybe he doesn't need a life. I was going to say, if you did and you had a good time, then you need a life.
Then
you
are
easily
easily
come to the right
pleased.
place, and there is hope.
Okay.
There's always hope.
Okay, is this like let's make a deal and he picks behind door number 1, 2, or 3? Is that basically easy for tonight? Or is there certain questions he has to answer? Did Pete talk to you about that rule?
No, he gave you all the rules, so whatever.
Okay, well...
You and Pete set this up, actually, so I don't know.
See, I don't even know what to do. So let's just let him
Chris.
pick.
I don't know what to do.
We've got 3 doors here with new lives for you behind them. And
Chris
all you have
calls me out this morning. Yeah, we got it all set. And I go, oh, great. I'll leave it up to you. Okay, no problem. What do we do?
Okay, we have 3 doors in the studio. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3 for tonight. Next week we'll have questions and all that you have to answer. We have nothing planned for tonight, but sir, you pick behind door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3, and we'll tell you what your new life is.
Door number 3.
Door number 3. Okay. Should I open that door?
Yeah.
Open that door, Chris.
I got a door somewhere.
We'll do it live. Here.
Is this it?
All right. Here, I'll do the door, all right?
Okay.
That's right. Your life is gynecologist of the stars. Your regular clients include Chrissy Hind, Jacqueline Smith, Natasha Kinski, Stevie Nicks, and Olivia Newton-John. One of the new men. You will charge $400 an hour, and your work is known all around the world. Gynecology Today magazine has given you the Man with the Steady Hands award for the 5th year in a row. You're at the peak of your career and fame and fortune. Even Prince Charles has given you complete charge of Lady Di. Have a great life, and thanks for playing Get a Life.
You want it?
Yeah.
All right, you're the gynecologist of the stars. Congratulations.
Okay, so next week we'd like to have you call back and tell us how it was.
Natasha Kinski's next baby.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Well, thank you for playing Get a Life, sir. And hold on, we're going to get your name and address, and we're going to send you out a couple things like your ID card and stuff.
Okay.
And we'll send you $1 along
Man,
with
these guys are a bunch of losers.
$1, okay?
That's cool.
All right, hold on.
More dope.
That's Get a Life for this. We are hosts Chris and Dave, and hey, it's 9:40, and
I want more dope.
what are you doing tonight? Doing a stupid show, Dave. That's what I'm doing. How about you?
Listening to this show, you need a life, so call us up.
Yeah. So we'll send out Tom his ID card, his new life with new air conditioning and a view of the lake, and it's all supplied by WDGC FM and the Chris and Dave Smorgasbord.
Hey, you forgot Sanyo.
I loved it. Okay, well, hey.
I'm glad somebody did.
Too
That
bad
went
it's
over
only
like a rock.
Did you like it, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. He's happy as long as he gets his 21 ID card.
Yeah. Well, we'll play some Zeppelin for you. Oh, Skinner, right? Okay.
Oh, wait,
Do we have any Skinner?
Oh, it's got a big scratch on it.
Oh, your Skinner's got some big scratch on it.
Oh man.
Don't all those Lynyrd Skynyrd songs have sexual innuendos on them anyway? I mean, you can't play that stuff, right?
Okay, well, anyway,
Electric guitar and everything.
next week we'll talk to him and see how his life was. Also, if you'd like to go to that DGCFM party.
Oh yeah, where's that?
Yeah, party.
It's gonna be at my house.
Yeah, call my friend.
And since you're 21, you can buy.
Well, no,
you'll
but
be
we're gonna be
21 as soon as you get our card in the mail.
Yeah, you could buy all the beer. But anyway, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving away limited invitations to the listeners. So what you do, if you want to come, you just write a letter to us telling why you want to go. Directed to Chris and Dave's Smorgasbord, Box 1042, Bolingbrook, Illinois, 60439. And we'll be reading all the winners on the air up until August, the first week in August.
The Smorgasbord Radio Show.
Memory
takes you back.
like the corners of my mind.
That party at the end that we were referring to was our farewell party because I was going off to college. We were ending the show. We decided to have a party just for people who listened. They were big listeners. We would tell, hey, if they called in, we would give them the address and tell them when it was and where it was. But what happened was somebody leaked out on the CB radio.
On the CB.
Oh, I remember that now, yeah.
And truck drivers and all walks of life showed up to my door. We had something like 150 people who showed up to my house.
That was quite a party. I remember it now.
My parents were divorced. My mom moved to Canada, so she was out of the country. My dad was dating, and he was in the city, so we had this party. I was thinking, we're going to have like 20 people or so, 30 people. 150 people showed up. You guys had a band going on in the basement, right? You were jamming down there.
Well, yeah, there was a lot going on that night.
Yeah, there was.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure.
There was almost a fight breakout between my the dorm room people. No, sorry, that was a different party. Because I wasn't in college yet. Sorry, that was a different party. Yeah, I don't remember too much about it other than...
Yeah, because I don't recall there being a whole band in your basement. But I remember doing that at your house. Maybe that was a different time then.
We were trying to form a band at one point. And
yeah, with the waitress from
Denny's,
Baker Square,
Baker
or whatever
Square,
it was.
yeah.
You know, you guys.
She was a saxophonist.
Yeah, she was, and a singer, or was it just?
I think just saxophone.
So Pete was living with me in my last year in high school. And my parents were divorced. My mom was gone. My dad was dating. So Pete lived with us. And then I was going off to college. And that period where I was living in college and coming home on the weekends, Pete was still living there. So you guys were hanging out with him a lot. And there would be times that I would come back home Friday night late, and you guys would be jamming in the living room. And
Right.
And to like the Honey Drippers. And
yeah, we were trying to learn that song.
Yeah. So you guys have a whole different memory of that period than I do. Like, I didn't know about this waitress. What's going on here with this waitress in my house?
We just got to talking, and she played, like Jerry said, she played saxophone, and we started talking about it, and we said, well, we're trying to get something together. And
did she come over to the house?
She came over.
Wow. I wasn't even there.
We had one practice, I
think.
Yeah.
We tried to get through that tune. And
that's cool. I wish I had been there.
Yeah.
I think we had somebody, a dude come through, and he was playing drums. He was an older guy, I think. He set up his drum set, and we're doing.
Okay, I don't remember how we met him or where
I
he came
don't,
from.
but I just remember him being
the
there.
night of that party or a different time?
Maybe it was somebody she knew. And
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds.
Pete probably brought in a lot of people that I didn't know into our house, and I wasn't even there to see.
Well, that's all I remember. Anyway.
Yeah. Wow. Pretty cool.
I'll go with Jerry's memory anytime because
me too. He's got a good memory.
Yeah, it's very good.
That's what I remember. We just did that. I only remember there being at least one.
Yeah, I think just
practice.
one time.
Yeah, one
she
practice.
came over once. We played and.
Yeah, that wasn't quite gelling, and you said, I'm not done with this. I don't. I guess because she probably knew the drummers. He went, and so that. Back to playing guitar.
Well, now we're getting into those personal memories that really nobody cares about. It's good to talk about them here.
But that was just one thing, one off. But,
yeah, that's good.
But I do remember that party, and that was a crazy party.
I remember just having to clean up all the garbage for the next day. It was not bad. I mean, considering we had 150 people there.
And it could have broken into these fights and those craziness. It
didn't
get that crazy.
I think if I remember correctly, only one shot glass broke. But we were in the process of, no, you know what it was? I'm confusing two parties. I'm confusing that one. This is two different parties. Sorry. We're talking about the one that we did, the CB radio thing.
Yeah.
Was when we sold the house.
Oh, okay, that was.
So it was spring of 85. So about 6 months after this farewell party. Mm-hmm. Was the CB radio one.
I remember being in that one.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was the one where there was a fight breaking out between my dorm room people and Pete's handy Andy hardware people. And Pete was literally holding them back from each other. He was in the middle of the two groups. Yeah, so I don't remember so much about this farewell party that we had for the radio show.
I have no recollection of it.
What was the first time that you and I drank together and we were sick together the first time? Was that this one?
Well, was it? Because maybe it was. I remember the first time getting majorly drunk and sick on gin, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So to this day, I will never drink gin.
Me too, yeah.
Gin and 7-Ups. It was
Gin and 7-Up. You and I have both the same experience, first time being drunk.
Well, that was your girlfriend at the time. Her idea. I was like, try these out. It's a really good drink. And then the next thing you know, and then
it was a Lithuanian specialty, right?
Well, nothing I grew up with.
I thought maybe that was it. Yeah, you're right. We both got sick on the same thing, and we were like hurling.
Oh yeah,
together, and we were like hugging each other. Oh, I love you. We experienced that together. But you're right. I can barely drink 7-Up these days, let alone forget gin.
That's what you call bonding. That's what we used to do before we had social media.
That's right. Well, 7-Up was always one of those things that my mom used to give me when I was sick to begin with. So I've got that memory, and then being drunk on it with the gin. 7-Up is not one of my favorite beverages.
That's when you became a Sprite man.
That's right. Canadian Dry.
Oh, there you
Canada
go.
Dry.
Canada Dry.
Canada Dry ginger ale. Hey, I got one more thing to play here, just a couple of minutes here, and then we'll wrap things up. So Allie hasn't been on the last few episodes, if you've noticed, because she's in college, and so Dad's got to try to figure out a way to keep the show going. So I have my old friends out here.
She's got a life, or she's getting a life.
She's getting a life very quickly,
yeah.
and less of it is becoming, including me. But that's okay. She and I went to a concert last weekend. We went to Echo Smith together, and I got her VIP tickets for her birthday, so we got to meet the band.
Oh, I'm sorry, did it again.
You just keep bumping your head into the...
I was looking at the poster of Echo Smith in the
Oh,
background.
yeah, we got a couple of Echo Smith here. Funny, the first time I ever heard of them, and it's funny, Allie and I, you think that she found them, but I found them. I found them on WDGC. I was playing around with the internet radio, and I was tuning into a station, and I heard a song I liked, and I said, hey, I got to find out what this is. So I showed it to Allie and said, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So we started liking them. Anyway, we went to the concert together last weekend at the Metro in Chicago, and so it was a good daddy-daughter date night. It was actually Christmas. I got her the tickets, and then her birthday, I was able to upgrade them to VIP tickets, and we got to meet the band. We did the Q&A session with them.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good night out. So we still have those moments, but she's just not doing this thing with me here every week. I don't blame her. So anyway, where did I go with this? Oh, so anyway, as part of one of her classes, she had to record a podcast it's a music appreciation class, I think. I don't remember the name of it specifically. So she had two of her classmates over, and they recorded this, and she won. So the prize was you get to have your podcast aired on WONC 89.1, the college station here in Naperville. And so I think the reason why she won was they said it was, highest quality, which if she used the studio, you could see why, because most of the students had to work with whatever audio equipment that they had at their disposal.
Exactly. Right.
So it really helped her push her over the finish line. So I guess she kind of cheated in a way to have all this at her disposal. But anyway, I wanted to play this a little bit just to get a sense of it. So it's Allie, and she shares it with two other classmates. And I don't know if you'll be able to pick out her voice versus the others, but one of them specifically, you'll know it's not her, but because it's a guy. But I'll play this a little bit, and we'll come back and close out the show.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Handel's Clavichord Company. Need to play your instrument in secrecy from your strict lawyer father, just like Handel did? Handel's Clavichord Company will hook you up with a clavichord and cloth to cover it, free of charge.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Maria.
I'm Sam.
I'm Allie.
And you're listening to Modern Revolutions in Music. Today, we'll be turning back the clock to the mid-1700s, when opera was taking the musical scene by storm. While taking a look at one of the most influential composers in opera, George Friedrich Handel, we'll be investigating his aria Lascia ch'io pianga from the opera Rinaldo, performed by Joyce DiDonato and the Il Pomo d'Oro Orchestra.
We recognize the music genre of opera might not exactly be in everyone's daily mix on Spotify, but we believe this aria, which is defined as an elaborate song encompassing a certain emotion, captures the universal cry of suffering and hope for peace in the world, especially in light of the current events. Lascia ch'io pianga is an aria that spoke to the people of the 1700s and still advocates for the people of the 21st century.
First, let's talk about the man of the hour, George Friedrich Handel. He was born February of 1685 to two non-musical parents in Halle, Germany, who became musical prodigies of his time. Throughout his life, he wrote numerous organ concerti, trios and duets, and oratorios, which are large-scale instrumental works for voice and orchestra. However, one of his most influential musical genres he composed were his operas.
That's right, Allie, and I'm so excited to examine his opera Rinaldo. Music critics around the world named this opera his musical breakthrough. While only writing it in 2 weeks, it was the first Italian-language opera written for the London stage. Taking place in 11th century Jerusalem during the First Crusades, the aria Lascia ch'io pianga is in Act 2, where the prima donna, also known as the leading lady, Amarina, gets captured by the evil sorceress. Being taken away from the love of her life, she begs for mercy to be released. This aria is her cry to be free.
Before delving into the music, let's get a word-for-word translation of the text. Let me weep my cruel fate, and that I should have freedom. The duel infringes within these twisted places. In my sufferings, I pray for mercy. We ask you to keep the text in mind as we take you through the journey of musical choices made in the composition and performance, as well as the historical context that match the complexity of today's global and political climate.
Right from the beginning of the piece, Handel encompasses the essence of his opera seria, a subgenre of opera that is classified as intensely dramatic or serious, and features characters that are not the Commonwealth. Di Donato's voice enters effortlessly, along with the instrumentation of string instruments and the harpsichord, which is a novelty to the Baroque era. To keep time in an aria, Baroque composers implemented a technique of basso continuo, where the instrumentation kept a steady progression of chords to keep the solo line in motion. Let's take a listen to how the instrumentation guides tempo of the vocal line, as well as moving in a dynamically swelling fashion that resembles the cries for mercy in the text.
Sounds very NPR-ish, huh?
I'm Terry Gross. This is Fresh Air.
This is NPR.
This is NPR. See, SmorgShow Podcast is just, it's so diverse. It's so...
We're jazz.
The news is next. This is NPR.
Okay, well, that was fun.
Dave, that was scary. I thought I was actually listening to BZ at the time.
Well, I think that really does it. And boy,
remember when they used to play jazz on WBEZ?
Yeah.
That was the jazz station here in Chicago.
I swear, I turned it on one night because I used to listen to it quite a bit. And the guy comes on the air and he says, "Man, I'll tell you, I just got mugged right outside the radio station." He's like, "Man, I just got mugged out there." Like, wow.
There you go. That's reality radio.
Yeah.
Are we ready to call it a day?
Let's call it.
Good thing we broke this up into, this could have been 4 episodes because look at this, 1 hour and 45 minutes and the other one was 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
We could just keep going on. I wish you guys lived closer. We could do this much more often, but you gave good times. Yeah. Well, Jerry's going to take us out to dinner. Did you hear that, Dave?
I did.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
We got to figure out a place to go.
That's right.
So we're going to wrap this up, and thanks for coming out, guys. I really had a great time with you.
Thanks, Chris. It was great.
It's
always great.
It was an experience not to be forgotten.
All right. This is the SmorgShow Podcast. That doesn't work the same way. 312-95-SMORG. We're still paying for the number. Please call us. Feedback at SmorgShowPodcast.com. And check us out on Facebook and whatever. Why bother? I don't really go on there anymore. No, we're out there somewhere. And we've got a YouTube channel, and I don't know, we're all over the place. Just find us on SmorgShow, and we'll be back again very soon. Thanks a lot.